What's going on, guys? Hope you're having a great day today. My name is Steve. Thank you so much for stopping by my channel. Today, I'm going to be reacting to the fattest town in Britain. I came across this video and I just thought this sounded like a really interesting topic to check out. I was really curious where the UK falls in terms of obesity rates by country. And currently, the UK is the 36th most obese nation. Now, compare that to the US, and the US is actually number 11. So the UK has quite a ways to go in order to catch up to the obesity rate here in the US. Now, I've known that the US was a fairly obese nation for quite some time now. It seems like we've been in the top 10, 15, or 20 for, I guess, the last 2 or 3 decades. But obviously, just like here, this is going to be the fattest town in Britain that we're going to check out. But obviously, both our nations have pockets where places seem to be very obese, and then pockets where places seem to be very slim and trim. A lot of that obviously has to do with lifestyle factors within those locations. But anyways, guys, enough of my rambling. Let's go ahead and check out the fattest town in Britain.
Do you think there's a lot of fat people around here?
Yeah. Here we go. So I hope you're hungry.
Hungry? Oh, jeez, Louise.
Is that for one person?
It's been overweight for a very long time. Still am. I still got a long way to go.
Yeah, I went to the doctor and I had high blood pressure, high cholesterol and type 2 diabetes.
Somebody's ordering kebab shop food.
Every day and twice.
It looks like that'd be fairly healthy. Just lower the portions a little bit.
How many calories is in this thing?
Meat and eggs and...
The Welsh Valleys, famous for its proud history of coal mining, steelworks and stunning scenery.
Wow.
It was among the beating heart of British industry before thousands of jobs were lost. And today, it's facing another big issue: people's expanding waistlines.
Lamb doner, chicken shish, coffee kebab.
All right, I'm getting hungry now.
Enjoy your meal.
Obesity rates in the South Wales area of Blaenau Gwent are the highest in the country. 4 out of 5 people here are overweight or obese,
4 out of
putting an
5.
increasing strain on the health service
Wow.
and making it Britain's fattest borough. This is Real Britannia.
80%. Wow. Ebbw Vale. I can't say that.
Welcome to Ebbw Vale.
Ebbw Vale.
It's the biggest town in Blaenau Gwent, and the people here are the largest in the country.
Looks like a nice town.
Takeaways are everywhere you look, so much so that if you search online for local healthy restaurants, the second result is McDonald's. So you've got customers who come here every single day.
Yes. We do see address as every day and sometimes same address twice a day.
Somebody's ordering kebab shop food.
Every day and twice a day. I have seen 3 times a day, you know.
It's getting busier actually compared to before, yeah. If you go regular customers, someone do order every single day. Every single day.
That looks good.
Someone of the customer. Yeah.
For adults in the UK, those with a body mass index between 18.5 and 24.9 are classed as being a healthy weight. Over 25 but under 30 counts as overweight. A BMI between 30 and 40 means you're obese, and 40 plus morbidly obese. In Blaenau Gwent, figures from NHS Prescription Service Now patients suggest almost 80% of the population here
80%.
are overweight or obese, far
Wow.
higher than the Welsh average of 62%.
62%. Now, there is something to be said. I think we need to say this, that just because someone has a little higher BMI doesn't necessarily mean that they are overweight to a point of being unhealthy, because a lot of that, you could have a higher BMI if you have a really high amount of muscle on your body. Muscle weighs more than fat. But generally speaking, yeah, I mean, if you get to the point to where you have a much higher BMI, it's very unlikely that you're actually that high of a BMI because you got a lot of muscle. But that is something. If someone has a 28 BMI, doesn't necessarily mean they're really overweight. They could be a bodybuilder or something. So BMI is one of those things that you got to take with a grain of salt, except when you get to the really high end of BMI, because obviously at some point it definitely means that you're definitely overweight. And I'd say for the most part, most people that fall into a higher BMI are probably overweight. But 80%, that's quite a bit. And I wanted to say one more thing. You know, I think the kebab shop, probably a great place to get a good, delicious meal. And actually, if you just stuck with the meat itself, I personally think meat is a very healthy part of a diet. I think you could eat majority meat and you'd be very healthy. The issue is when you get a bunch of fries or chips cooked in the seed oil. The seed oils are the main issue, in my opinion. But, you know, that's a discussion for another video.
Hi, Ian. One of those who struggled with his weight is Ian, the owner of Joe's Fish Bar in
Fish Shop.
For a very long time. Still am. I still got a long way to go. But for quite many years, I was just sat home because I couldn't find work. And in the end, I had to get up and find something, and I started something. Everything shut, so there's no work around here at all. They closed the steelworks, closed all that down. So basically, where people in Wales worked, they've all closed down. So there's nothing. The pits have all been closed. There's nothing here at all.
But how does that translate into having more people who are overweight and obese?
Oh, that's good.
Because if they're sat at home, they're probably eating more. Because if they're out working and everything, if they had something to do, they're just finding it hard. So they're just struggling, they're coping.
That makes a lot of sense.
Comfort eating. I would say they're stressing out much. They're just comfort eating, because I was for a very long time.
I think there's something to be said about that. You know, if all the mines, the area was really big with mines and manufacturing of different sorts, and a lot of that's closed down. Probably like the U.S., a lot of the manufacturing's probably been sent overseas. I don't really know that, but I know that's what's happened here. And because of that, a lot of the locals have had a harder time finding work in the area, and so. When all of a sudden you couldn't work, you couldn't feed your family, you get kind of depressed a little bit and you start going to the comfort food, the fried stuff. And that's where it's going to get you in trouble eventually with your weight, you know.
So what led this small area of southeast Wales to this point? Blaenau Gwent was once a pillar of the Industrial Revolution. At one point, there were over 600 mines across Wales, including 38 pits in Blaenau Gwent alone.
Wow, that's a lot.
It was a physically demanding and dangerous job.
That's what I was thinking.
Today, the Guardian of the Valley statue in Abertillery commemorates the 45 miners who lost their lives in the Six Bells pit disaster here in 1960.
Things have rarely gone right at the Ebbw Vale steelworks. During the Depression years of the 30s, it closed entirely for 9 years.
But in Ebbw Vale, it was steel which put the town on the map. Opened in 1790 and spanning several miles, the Ebbw Vale Steelworks was a powerhouse, employing over 14,000 people.
Oh wow,
Today,
that's a lot.
This is all that's left of the original building, and after its closure in 2002, all those jobs were lost. Some of those who helped shape this area's history say both the town and its people have never recovered since.
What you see today in Ebbw Vale is gone, dead. There's nothing here at all. The steelworks has vanished. And unfortunately, where the steelworks was used or been, today is nothing. It's nothing like we used to know. Employment is virtually non-existent. The feeling that you had of being a valley boy, and which I'm proud to be, is dead. It's dead.
But here, in the self-titled birthplace of the NHS, officials are aware of the challenge. The Aneurin Bevan Health Board has a specialist weight management service to support anyone looking to lose a few pounds. We asked to speak to them on camera, but no one was available.
Shrug your shoulders backwards. Nicely done, guys. Perfect.
Tackling obesity requires a multi-layered approach, and getting people active is one way
Sweat
to
is
start.
fat crying. I love that shirt.
Hello.
Wales's National Exercise Referral Scheme is the only programme of its kind in the UK and sees GPs prescribe patients regular exercise at classes like this. It's open to those with a health condition or anyone who wants to keep active, and the best way to get a feel for the class was to get stuck in.
I've lost weight by coming here, 13 stone. I make friends, it's a place to hang out and enjoy myself, and it's fitness, and it gets me out of the house so I don't feel alone. Since I've been doing this, I've got more energy, I'm breathing easier, I'm doing a lot more, and I can walk without aids.
You must feel so proud.
I am, yes. It's a lot of hard work, but I've done it.
I've lost both my parents since I started coming here, and this is a great help. The friends I've made and the staff here, you know, it's really good. Really, really good.
You've got other people with you, you're not by yourself, everybody's enjoying themselves. It's worth it.
I went to the doctor and I had high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and type 2 diabetes. So I started coming to class, and since coming in over a year, my blood pressure's normal, my cholesterol's normal, and I'm out of the range for type 2 diabetes. So yeah, really pleased.
That's awesome. A big part of that is the camaraderie, you know. A lot of these people, I'm under the impression that basically, you know, at one point, you know, the mills were there, you know, the factories, the mining, all that. So it was happening. Everybody had jobs. Easily everybody could get jobs. And then all that slowly left. And now so many people were left not only without an income, you know, they're probably got to get on welfare of some sort, or they don't have that, the sense of community maybe has faltered a little bit because everything disappearing, people probably leaving. And I can imagine that a lot of people became depressed. They you know, the takeout food is much cheaper probably, and it's just quick. And when you're not feeling, you know, as happy about your life in general because your community's not what it used to be, especially for a lot of the middle-aged to older folks probably, you know, you go to food for comfort. And then something like where they're at here is obviously a huge blessing because it's a way for them to feel together again. You know, that's something that I see here. Personally, I think one of the things that everybody needs to take into account the difference in the obesity rates now versus back then, where obviously, you know, people worked a lot more, factory stuff, hard work, man, burning a lot of energy every day. So you could eat some really calorie dense meals and you're burning it off. But I think there's something about the change in the oils we used. Back in the day, people used a lot more animal fats, tallow, butter, you know, like just things like that, right? To cook their foods in, to fry their foods in. Now we're using seed oils, which are very inflammatory, you know. And so I think that's a big difference in, you know, the seed oils are, in my opinion, the worst thing that's happened to food in our lifetimes, you know, period. But anyways, let's continue.
Type 2 diabetes. So yeah, really pleased.
Thank you very much, guys. Thank you very much.
The overwhelming reaction from people here seems positive, and the benefits seem more than just dropping a jean size.
Phil, obviously, it's amazing seeing some of the results that's happened. There was one woman that I spoke to, I think her name's Bobby Rose. She's lost 13 stone.
Yeah, she's done marvellous in all fairness.
I don't know how much weight that is.
The transformation, when she first came to us, she would do the class at the whole time sat in the chair. Wasn't very confident about doing the exercise either. But as the years have gone by, you can see complete and utter transformation, basically. They enjoy it. It's a social
I love that
side
shirt,
as well.
man.
You know, some of them now will go and have go up to the cafe and have a coffee and all the rest of it. You've got out of the house for a good few hours. You know, you've had a giggle, you've had a laugh, you've had a catch up with your friends. It's not just about the exercise.
Right, the camaraderie, man.
It's the social side
It's huge.
of things as well.
It's absolutely huge.
So on the whole, yeah, I think it's having quite a big impact.
But exercise is only one form of attack, and the fight against obesity doesn't stop there. Politicians here are coming after junk food too.
Every day, millions of people up and down the country enjoy a meal deal for their lunch. But from 2025, you might struggle to get your hands on something like this in Wales. Combos high in fat, sugar and salt are set to be restricted by the devolved government here. New laws will also restrict retailers from running promotions on the unhealthiest of foods.
Blaenau Gwent was once named Britain's takeaway capital,
Wow.
with fast food making up over 70% of the options.
70%?
Tackling obesity costs the NHS around £6.5 billion a year, all funded by the taxpayer. By 2050, that's expected to shoot up to £10 billion. But what some experts are calling for is more cash now.
Obesity is definitely one of the biggest strains on the NHS. You know, it's a huge problem in terms of its prevalence, how many people are suffering with obesity. We have 60,000 people with severe obesity in Wales alone. We have 600,000 with obesity in Wales. And those people living with this disease, they're normal people. They have all the health problems that we have, and they have additional ones on top of it related to their obesity. If we can take away some of the burden of the obesity, then we can improve their health, we can reduce the costs.
Is there enough money by the Welsh Government, by the UK
Oh, that's a cool
government
statue.
to tackle this huge crisis that we're facing with obesity?
In a word, no. There isn't enough money at all in the UK or the world, and especially
Best
here in
kebab.
Wales,
There's a
given
lot
to
of
obesity management and
kebab
weight
restaurants.
programs.
Never been to a
There'll be some
kebab
people who are
restaurant.
watching this who say, well, it's the obese people's fault. They shouldn't
think I'd
be
like
eating
it,
so
though.
much. They can lose the weight if they just skip a meal. Is that really the case, or are some people predisposed to being larger?
You know, stigma is one of the biggest challenges as a professional in obesity, is that people have that attitude and they look around them and they judge immediately based purely on appearance. And it's very politically easy and convenient, in fact, for a government to say, well, actually, you should exercise more and you should eat less. That's not my problem as a government.
Do you think there's a lot of fat people around here?
Yeah. At the end of the day, we are in a deprived area and cheap food is fatty food. But it is quite shocking, really.
Do you think people around here are too fat?
Yes. Yes, including me. No, I think so. I look at some of the young ones, they're really obese.
Do you feel sympathy for people who are obese or overweight, or do you think that they brought it upon themselves?
They brought it upon themselves.
It is what it is. You can't do anything about it. They can't, can they? It's up to the people themselves to do what they want to do.
In some parts of society, it seems like fat phobia is still considered harmless fun, but words can cause huge hurt.
Beware of dog survivors will be prosecuted.
Hiya.
Hello, it's Ollie from Talk TV.
Hiya, you alright?
Can I come in?
Yeah, of course you can. Come on.
Rachel Meredith lives in Ebbw Vale with her 2 children. She says she's struggled with her weight ever since she was a teenager and knows firsthand just how cruel people can be.
I took my children down to a beach, Swansea way, and we've been there many, many times before. It was a lovely, lovely day. We parked and made our way to the beach. I literally very quickly just changed my top. So I had a bikini top underneath. I very quickly changed my top. It was done in a matter of 20 seconds. The kids didn't even notice me do it. And I saw there was a couple to my left, and they just started laughing. And I just said, "Excuse me." I was like, "Yeah. Do you mind keeping your top on?" They just kept on at me. "Oh, it's disgusting. You're disgusting." And at that point, I just felt so threatened, and so I was shaking at this point because I was thinking they're not going to leave me alone. So I actually did phone the police for real. And then I phoned my partner, and I just said, "You wouldn't believe what's just happened to me." And I told him, and a group of ladies had overheard me, and they just come up to me after I finished the phone call. I just burst into tears, and they said, "Are you okay?" I said, "No, I'm not." At that point, I felt so isolated and so alone. It was horrendous.
I mean, does it still bring you to tears? Do you still really get upset about it? Or have you managed to find a way to move on past it?
At the moment, I have quite a lot of other, I wouldn't say more important, well, yeah, more important things going on with family. We've had some devastating news within the family, and I'm really struggling with it. My dad is going to pass away.
So sorry.
Sorry.
No, I'm so sorry.
The weight's had to take a back seat to that.
You know, it's disgusting. You know, you see someone, you know, and maybe you think, oh, well, they should lose weight or whatever. But like, you don't know their story. You don't know their story at all. You don't know. It's very likely, even if there is no other reason, like if there's no, if they're just eating too much, for example, if that really is what it is in this case, right? You don't know why they have that food addiction. Food addiction is just as hard, maybe harder to break than most drug addictions. You know how hard it is for someone or an alcoholic to get off alcohol, or someone who's addicted to heroin or cocaine to get off those drugs. Once someone has a food addiction, because they were raised that way, you know what I mean? Like their parents raised them that way. They get to a certain age and they want to change, but they're addicted. And then to think that someone coming along and making fun of them and talking junk to them because of their appearance, to think that's going to have a positive impact on them is just disgusting. I do not condone bullies at all.
We've just found out he's got brain cancer.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Rachel.
So yeah, the weight is it's just gone. It's at the moment. My father is more important.
What's your message? What's your message to people?
Remember that like what's happening with me and my family at the moment, there are other things. There's more important things going on in life. We are our biggest critics. So we don't need you making that worse. We just don't need you making it worse.
Rachel's experience is not unique, and conversations around weight loss and obesity can be sensitive. Whether it's tackling deprivation, encouraging exercise and a healthy diet, or managing the stigma around plus-size people. So where does all of this leave Blaenau Gwent? Before we came here, I'll admit that I was skeptical of the statistics. I honestly didn't believe that 80% of people could be overweight or obese. But walking around the towns, meeting local people, the challenge weighing heavy on this community really is noticeable. And while steps are being taken to move forward,
wow, that's the chubby dog.
Like a long road ahead.
Wow, man.
At the end of the day, boys, you got, 5 kebab shops in one town by it, and obviously we're Welsh, we like rugby, and people think, oh yeah, we will get big for rugby, but no, a lot of people, this is why we have chronic heart disease and stuff like that, just because of stuff like that.
I'm addicted to the feeling food gives me when I'm down and depressed and lonely, and life can be tough sometimes. So yes, I would say I am addicted to food in that respect, that it makes me feel better, and that's sometimes the only thing that does make me feel better.
In order for the wider society to understand that actually this is a disease and warrants treatment like any other disease, we need to address stigma, and we need to start to challenge people who are saying that actually it's patients' fault.
But if obesity is a disease, which symptom do you treat first? The lack of healthy food, unemployment, deprivation, inactive lifestyles, or prejudice? Experts say it's not a choice of one or the other. Everything needs to be tackled now.
All right, guys, that was a really, really interesting video. I would say, if you ask me, where you need to start with something like this is you need to start looking at it. I personally don't look at it as a disease. Some people do, and that's fine. Some people look at addiction as a disease. And I guess you could say addiction is a disease, but I just don't look at it the same as I do, I don't know, cancer, heart disease, diabetes, all these things. I don't look at someone being addicted to something in the same classification as those types of things. But what I do look at is, generally speaking, if someone is very overweight, you know, you can line up all the healthy foods you want to. You can give someone employment. You can stop prejudice, whatever. If you haven't tackled the underlying addiction, then you're not going to very likely see success. That's where you need to start with something like this, is tackling the underlying addiction and giving people helping people have hope in themselves again, helping people see that they, you know, in a period of a year, they can completely transform themselves physically, mentally, spiritually, in every way, really. In this case, it's a lot of people say, well, this is all physical. No. If you're obese or very overweight, it's mostly mental. It's a mental game, because most obese people don't like being obese. Most obese people would prefer if they could snap their finger and not be obese anymore, then they would choose that. And so it's a mental issue. It's an addiction. And so, you know, and that's why I think it's like, I can't stand it when people make fun of people who have problems with addiction, whether it's drug addiction or alcoholism or being overweight because you have food addictions. It's like if you're making fun of these people for those things, you're literally making fun of them for an addiction, for a mental issue that they have. And it's just, I don't agree with that at all. I prefer to uplift people, be positive to people, you know, show people optimism, hopefully some way rub off on people and give them hope. That's what I want people to do with people that have addictions. And I'll say that because it all ties into having addictions. It's food addiction. And generally speaking, people that get to a certain place where they're very obese, they only get there because they start using food as a comfort. A lot of times they've had some major trauma in their lives when they were children, and they never were able to overcome the trauma. It's in their subconscious psyche at this point, and they use food to self-medicate that trauma. And they need to get to the bottom of that trauma, solve that trauma in their life, and then they solve the addiction, which in turn solves all the physical problems that they're having. And so people need to be kinder to people who have these types of issues, because and a lot of people just like, oh, it's their fault. Sometimes it is. I'm not saying it never is. But in a lot of cases, it stems from something that originally wasn't their fault. Something happened to them at some point that created a very, very bad traumatic event that ended up causing an addiction to food for comfort that ended up leading to the issue they have now. We always have to take steps back to look at where something begins instead of just simply looking at what's right in front of you. And so, you know, here it's easy to see that potentially a lot of people are dealing with some trauma around the possible destruction of their way of life and their community through the removing of these jobs, these mines and whatnot. That's probably a portion of the people, and other portions, there are different reasons. But either way, you know, I think the first place is to get to the bottom of the trauma with people and their addictions, and then you're going to solve the physical issue. But anyways, guys, I thought this was really interesting. You know, 80% of people being obese in one area, that is very high. And so it's definitely a place that, you know, I think that it's good to bring attention to things like areas like this, so that hopefully these people that want help can get the help they need to help solve their addiction issue. Obviously, also, on top of all the addiction and whatnot, it doesn't make it easier when you have so many different fast food joints over healthy options. So, you know, obviously bringing in the healthy options, giving people access to therapy and promoting that therapy to deal with traumas, promoting the exercise, as said. I think all of those are great things that need to be happening all at once, among, possibly helping bring in jobs of some sort. There's many different things. But anyways, guys, I thought this was interesting. I don't want to ramble anymore and take up too much time because I think this video is fairly long at this point. So anyways, guys, thank you so much for stopping by. Please click that like button. Feel free to drop your comments or suggestions about this video or others. And don't forget to subscribe to continue to follow me on my journey to discover my British and Irish ancestry. Until next time, guys, peace.